Commander Adrian Kane floated silently above the surface of the foreign planet, his boots pressing lightly against the magnetic stabilizers of his hover suit. The planet, known as Scifi, was a vibrant mix of glowing forests and jagged crystal mountains, casting reflections of blue and purple light in every direction. Scifi was dangerous. Many expeditions had failed to return, but Adrian was not afraid. Humans had always thrived against impossible odds, and he was determined to prove it once again. The mission had been simple in theory: locate the missing princess of the alien kingdom of Lorelia, who had vanished weeks ago during an exploration of the planet's inner caves. No one knew exactly why she had gone there, but rumors suggested she had been chasing knowledge beyond her world. Adrian had been assigned because of his reputation, a human who had survived countless encounters with hostile planets and unknown, alien civilizations. As he hovered closer to the cave entrance, he could see the faint light of bioluminescent crystals glowing inside. The air shimmered with a strange warm energy, almost as if the planet itself were alive and aware of his presence. Adrian activated his scanner, and the readout immediately showed a small, concentrated life form deep within the cave. It was faint but unmistakably humanoid. Finally, he muttered under his breath. Not much time to waste. He adjusted his suit's thrusters and descended into the cave carefully. The walls were jagged, with crystal formations jutting out at odd angles. Each step sent a cascade of smaller crystals tinkling softly, creating a musical chime that echoed through the cavern. Adrian's eyes scanned every shadow, every reflection, alert for danger. Then he saw her. The alien princess was trapped in a small chamber, surrounded by energy barriers that flickered like waves in a storm. Her eyes, wide with surprise, reflected a mix of relief and astonishment when she saw Adrian enter. She was petite, but carried herself with the regal poise of someone born to lead. Her hair shimmered with shades of silver and violet, and her skin glowed faintly, as if the crystals of the cave had left a permanent mark. Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly, though there was no fear. There was curiosity in her tone, and a spark of intelligence that Adrian instantly recognized as dangerous if underestimated. "Commander Adrian Kane, Human Expeditionary Corps," he replied. "I'm here to help you, Princess Lyra. Are you hurt?" Lyra shook her head, though her hands moved cautiously near the barrier. "I'm fine, mostly. But this prison, it's not from my world. I don't know how it works and I can't get out." Adrian knelt beside the barrier, scanning it with his suit's tools. "It's an energy field, advanced but not unbreakable. I need to understand its source to disable it safely." Lyra's eyes followed his movements. "Humans are different," she said softly. "I've heard of your kind, but I've never seen one up close. You just seem unstoppable." Adrian gave a faint smile, focusing on his work. "We try our best. Now, can you tell me if there's anything controlling the barrier nearby?" She shook her head again. "I don't think so. I was exploring alone when it activated. I couldn't leave. Then it just trapped me." Adrian's mind worked quickly. He noticed the barrier was not uniform. The energy pulses had a rhythm, a weak point in their cycle. It was risky, but if timed correctly, he could slip through the field and disable it. He glanced at Lyra. "Stay calm. I'm going in," he said. "Follow my instructions and you'll be out in moments." The princess nodded, her surprise fading into trust. Adrian adjusted his thrusters, leaped forward and timed his movements with the pulses of energy. The first attempt nearly failed as a shockwave pushed him back, but he recalibrated, adjusted the timing, and finally reached the core of the energy field. Using his portable energy disruptor, he sent a precise pulse that neutralized the barrier's generator. The energy field collapsed in a soft wave of light. Lyra stepped forward cautiously, her eyes wide with awe. "You did it. You saved me." Adrian extended a hand. "Let's get you out of here. It's not safe to stay in this cave." As they exited the chamber, Lyra followed closely. Her movements were graceful, almost floating, as if the cave itself had taught her a kind of quiet dance. Adrian couldn't help but notice the strange elegance of her species, the way they adapted naturally to difficult terrain, their awareness of surroundings, their sharp intuition. Humans were strong, but there was something in Lyra that reminded him of the universe's vast mysteries. Outside the cave, the planet's night sky unfolded in a cascade of colors. 3 moons rose in alignment, casting silver light across the jagged landscape. Adrian scanned the area. Sensors indicated no immediate threats, but Sci-Fi was unpredictable. Lyra stepped beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "But so dangerous." Adrian nodded. "Every world has its dangers. That's why humans explore them. That's why we survive where others fail." A subtle smile appeared on Lyra's face. "I can see why your kind is so revered across the galaxy. You face the unknown, and you don't give up." Adrian felt a flicker of pride but remained focused. "We survive not just for ourselves, Princess, but for those who need help. You were in danger, and that's why I came." Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes bright with curiosity and something more, respect, admiration, and a hint of wonder. "I've met few who would come here knowing the risks, and without asking for anything in return." "It's what humans do," Adrian replied simply. "We help. That's the mission." For a moment, the two stood silently, looking at the alien horizon. Then, suddenly, Lyra's expression changed. She pointed toward the valley below. "Do you see that?" Adrian followed her gaze. In the distance, a massive shadow moved across the crystal plains. The shape was enormous, larger than any native creature he had ever seen, with glowing eyes and scales that reflected the moonlight. It was heading straight toward them. Adrian's instincts kicked in. "We need to move. Now." He grabbed Lyra's hand, guiding her toward a safer path. The shadow accelerated, moving with a speed that belied its size. Adrian's suit sensors indicated immense energy readings. Whatever it wasn't friendly. They sprinted across the crystal terrain, dodging jagged formations and glowing outcrops. Lyra's agility amazed Adrian. She moved with precision, navigating the terrain as if she had been born to survive in it. How do you move so well here?" he asked briefly. "My people are attuned to our worlds," Lyra explained. "I spent my childhood exploring valleys, climbing cliffs, and learning the energy of my surroundings. It's part of our heritage." Adrian nodded, impressed. "Good. That skill might save us today." The shadow grew closer, revealing more of its terrifying form. Scales like obsidian, claws sharp as crystal, and eyes glowing red. It let out a deafening roar that shook the ground beneath them. Adrian grabbed his energy blaster, ready for combat. But knew brute force alone would not be enough. They had to outsmart it. He spotted a narrow gorge ahead, partially hidden by crystal formations. "This way," he shouted, pulling Lyra toward it. They slipped into the gorge just as the creature lunged forward, missing them by mere inches. Inside the gorge, the walls narrowed, forcing the creature to slow down. Adrian exhaled, relief mixed with tension. "That should give us a chance," he muttered. Lyra looked at him, still catching her breath. You saved me again. Twice in one night." Adrian smiled faintly. Humans have a knack for surviving, and sometimes saving others. As they moved deeper into the gorge, a strange calm fell over them. The danger was not gone, but Adrian felt a quiet confidence. Humans had always faced the unknown, and this time was no different. He glanced at Lyra, realizing that this mission was not just about rescue. It was the beginning of something much larger. Adrian and Lyra moved cautiously through the narrow gorge, the faint glow of Sci-Fi's crystals lighting their path. The roar of the massive creature faded behind them, but the danger was far from over. Adrian could feel the energy radiating through the planet's surface, a constant reminder that Sci-Fi was alive in ways humans rarely encountered. Lyra's hand clung to his arm as they navigated jagged crystal outcroppings. "Do creatures like that roam freely here?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Adrian shook his head. "Not usually. Most life here is cautious. That one, it's different. Something must have disturbed it, or it was sent to track us. Either way, we can't take chances." The princess nodded. Her violet eyes scanned the gorge walls, noting every shadow, every potential hiding spot. "Humans are brave," she said quietly. "You don't panic, even when something enormous is chasing you." Adrian allowed himself a small smile. "Caution is bravery's companion. I'm cautious, but I don't freeze. That's what makes us survive." The two moved deeper into the gorge, coming across a fork in the path. One route led upward toward a series of glowing cliffs, while the other descended into a valley, where the crystal formations grew taller, almost like natural towers. Adrian's scanner showed faint energy readings from the cliffs above. Upward seems safer, he decided. We can gain a vantage point and plan our next move. Lyra followed him, leaping gracefully over the uneven terrain. She paused occasionally, touching the glowing crystals, as if drawing strength from their energy. Adrian watched her closely. Humans adapted quickly, but Lyra's instincts, her knowledge of the natural world, gave her an almost supernatural advantage. As they climbed, the valley below revealed more movement. Smaller creatures scuttled between the crystal towers, their bodies reflecting the light in brilliant shades of blue and green. They were harmless compared to the massive predator they had just escaped, but Adrian knew that even minor threats could become dangerous when cornered. "I've never seen life like this," Lyra whispered. "Everything glows, everything moves differently. My people speak of Zyphira's beauty, but it's more than that. It's alive." "Alive and unpredictable," Adrian agreed, "which is why humans always prepare for the unexpected." The top of the cliff, they found a natural ledge overlooking the valley. The view was breathtaking. Towering crystal spires reflected the moonlight, creating a kaleidoscope of colors. Adrian scanned the valley below. The massive creature was gone, or at least it was no longer visible, but he could sense its presence somewhere in the distance. "Do you feel that?" Lyra asked, her hand brushing against a crystal. "The planet itself. It watches. It's aware." Adrian nodded. "Planets don't usually have consciousness, but Zyphira seems special. Keep that in mind, every step here matters." As they rested briefly on the ledge, Adrian noticed Lyra's expression shifting from awe to concern. "Commander, there's more to this planet than the creature we escaped. I've felt strange energy since I arrived here. It's calling, in a way." Adrian's brow furrowed. "A call? You mean like a signal?" Lyra shook her head. "Not exactly. More like a presence. Powerful, ancient, and intelligent. It's as if the planet itself knows who I am." Adrian considered this. Humans had explored countless worlds, but few had such a direct connection to life itself. "Then we must be cautious. If the planet recognizes you, it may also protect or challenge you." Before Lyra could respond, a sudden vibration ran through the cliff. The crystals around them hummed, resonating with a low, harmonic tone. Adrian and Lyra looked at each other. Something was approaching, something not entirely alive, yet not mechanical either. Adrian activated his energy blaster, scanning the area. A shadow emerged from between the crystal spires, a massive construct of crystal and energy, moving with purpose. Its form resembled a guardian, a protector designed to challenge intruders. "It's defending the planet," Lyra whispered. "Or testing us." Adrian nodded. "Then we adapt. Stay close to me." The guardian advanced, its steps resonating through the ledge. Adrian moved forward, placing himself between Lyra and the approaching figure. "I don't want to fight," he called out, though the creature didn't respond. Its glowing core pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Lyra stepped forward, raising her hand. "Wait. I think it can sense me." The guardian paused, its energy field pulsing faster. Lyra took a cautious step closer. I am Lyra of Lorelia. I mean no harm. Let me pass. The creature's pulse slowed, and then, to Adrian's surprise, it stepped aside. Its crystalline body emitted a soft light, almost like a bow of respect. Lyra exhaled. The planet. It listens to me, she said softly. I didn't know. I didn't realize this power I have. Adrian studied her carefully. Your people must be extraordinary. Humans respect strength and wisdom. You have both. Lyra smiled faintly but didn't speak further. They continued along the ledge, careful not to disturb the Guardian again. Adrian realized that this world was teaching him a new lesson. Survival was not just about strength or weapons. It was about understanding, respect, and adapting to forces far greater than oneself. As night deepened, they found a sheltered cave within the cliffside. The crystals within this smaller chamber glowed softly, casting warm light across their faces. Adrian set up a small energy tent to provide heat and protection from the cold wind that swept across the cliff. You're always prepared, Lyra observed, watching him adjust his equipment. Humans learn quickly, he replied. But you've adapted to this world your entire life. You understand it better than I ever could. Lyra's gaze drifted to the crystals around them. My people have always known the planets are alive. We can feel their energy, hear their whispers, but most humans cannot. You are different. Brave, yes, but also patient. You notice things others might miss. Adrian smiled faintly. We survive by observing, learning, and acting. It seems your people do the same, just on a deeper scale. For a moment, silence filled the cave. Outside, the wind rustled the crystals, creating a soft symphony. Lyra stepped closer to Adrian. I've never met someone like you, a human, so far from home, yet so strong, so calm, so... Adrian raised an eyebrow, smiling slightly. So, what? Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. So capable. I trust you, Adrian. I do. Adrian felt a sense of responsibility settle over him. Humans were admired for their courage, yes, but they were also trusted. And this trust was precious. I won't let anything happen to you, Princess, I promise. Suddenly, the cave's crystals pulsed violently, throwing bright streaks of light across the walls. Both Adrian and Lyra instinctively ducked. A loud, vibrating hum filled the chamber, echoing like a drumbeat. The energy readings spiked sharply. Something was approaching, something more powerful than the Guardian, more unpredictable than any creature they had encountered. Adrian activated his scanner. The readings showed a massive energy source moving rapidly toward their location. We have company, he said grimly, and it's not friendly. Lyra's eyes widened. The planet, it's warning us. This is dangerous. Adrian grabbed his gear. Then we move quickly. There's a narrow passage I saw near the cliff edge. It should lead us to safety or at least out of immediate danger. The two sprinted from the cave, moving with agility and focus. The valley below erupted, in energy bursts, bright streaks of light illuminating massive crystal towers. Adrian could see the silhouette of a colossal creature, unlike anything from Earth. Its body seemed made of pure energy, contained within a jagged crystalline frame. Its eyes glowed like twin suns. Adrian didn't flinch. Humans had faced worse, adapted faster, and survived when others perished. But even he had to admit, this was unlike anything he had ever seen. Lyra, though, remained composed. The planet recognizes me, she said. It knows I am of Lorelia. Perhaps it will help us. Adrian didn't answer. He only nodded, keeping his focus on the path ahead. Survival, he reminded himself, relied on action, not speculation, and right now, the only action was moving forward and keeping Lyra alive. The narrow passage appeared as they reached the cliff edge. Its walls were jagged but provided cover. They entered carefully, the energy pulses from the valley below growing, fainter but still ominously present. Once inside, Adrian allowed himself a brief pause. "We're safe for now," he said. "But this planet, it's teaching us something. Not just about survival, but about understanding forces greater than ourselves." Lyra looked at him, her expression a mix of awe and respect. "I feel it too, Sci-Fi. It's alive and it's testing us, but with you, I believe we can survive anything." Adrian smiled faintly. "That's the human way. We don't give up. And apparently, neither do you." As the night deepened, the glow of the crystals bathed the passage in soft, ethereal light. Outside, Sci-Fi's energy pulses continued, a constant reminder that their journey had only just begun. And in the distance, the massive energy creature moved relentlessly, a shadow of the challenges yet to come. Adrian tightened his grip on his blaster and glanced at Lyra. "We'll face this. Together." Lyra nodded. Together. The cave grew silent again, but both of them knew the peace was temporary. Adventure, danger, and the mysteries of Sci-Fi awaited, and neither human nor princess would turn back. The narrow passage stretched on for what felt like hours. Adrian led the way, his blaster drawn, his visor casting a soft glow against the jagged crystal walls. Lyra followed closely, her movements graceful and steady. The deeper they went, the more the crystals hummed with a strange rhythm. It was not random, it was almost like a heartbeat, a steady pulse that seemed to grow stronger with each step. Adrian frowned. "This planet, it feels like it's leading us somewhere." Lyra touched one of the glowing walls, her eyes widening. "It's alive, Commander. The crystals are connected to something deeper, something at the planet's core." Adrian's instincts sharpened. Humans had encountered living planets before, but never one so directly interactive. This wasn't just a world, it was a presence aware of them and perhaps even testing them. The tremor suddenly, the ground shook beneath their feet. Dust and shards of crystal rained down from the ceiling. Adrian steadied himself against the wall, pulling Lyra close to shield her from falling debris. "What now?" he muttered, scanning the passage. The tremor grew stronger, and from the shadows ahead, a low rumble echoed. Adrian lifted his blaster, his senses alert. Out of the dark came a group of creatures, smaller than the massive beast they had escaped earlier, but no less dangerous. They looked like crystalline wolves, four-legged, sharp-edged, and glowing with energy veins that pulsed like lightning beneath their translucent skin. Lyra gasped. "I've read about them, the shard beasts. They protect the deeper layers of Sci-Fi. They should not be here." "Well, they are," Adrian said, steadying his stance. "And they're not here to welcome us." The beast snarled, their jagged teeth gleaming as they advanced. Adrian fired a precise shot at the nearest one. The blast struck its crystal hide, shattering part of its body into fragments. But instead of falling, the creature reformed, the shards pulling back together as if drawn by invisible threads. "They regenerate," Adrian realized. "Figures." Lyra stepped forward. "Wait. Don't fight them like enemies. This planet respects balance. Violence alone won't work." "Suggestions are welcome," Adrian replied, backing them both toward a wider part of the passage. Lyra closed her eyes, placing her palm against the wall. The crystals hummed louder, and the beasts slowed, tilting their heads as if listening. Adrian lowered his weapon slightly, watching as the creatures circled but did not attack. Lyra whispered something in her native tongue, her voice soft but commanding. The beasts froze. For a long moment, the cave was silent except for the hum of the crystals. Then, slowly, the beasts retreated, melting back into the shadows. Adrian blinked. "You just talked a pack of monsters into leaving us alone." Lyra opened her eyes, her breathing uneven. "Not talked, connected. The planet hears me, and it hears through them." Adrian nodded, impressed. "That connection of yours may be the only thing keeping us alive." The ancient chamber. The passage finally opened into a massive chamber. At its center stood an enormous crystal spire, glowing brighter than anything they had seen before. Energy surged through it, sending waves of light across the walls. It was as if the heart of the planet itself pulsed before them. Lyra stepped forward, awe in her eyes. This is the source, the heart of Zyphera. Adrian scanned the structure. His visor flickered with readings, immense energy levels, ancient technology mixed with natural growth. It's alive, but it's also engineered. Someone shaped this long ago. Lyra placed her hand on the spire. Her body glowed faintly as the spire responded, sending ripples of light through the chamber. It knows me, she whispered. It knows I am not just a wanderer. It recognizes my bloodline. Adrian frowned. Why would it recognize you? Lyra's voice trembled. Because long ago my ancestors came here. The legends said they were guided by the stars to a living world. They made a pact and left, never to return. Until now, the spire pulsed brighter, and a voice filled the chamber, not spoken but resonating directly in their minds. Child of Lorelia, human of Earth, you stand before the heart of Zyphera. You are tested. Adrian gritted his teeth. Figures. We're in the middle of an exam. Lyra bowed her head slightly. What test? She asked aloud. Strength, unity, and trust, the voice echoed. Pass, and you shall leave. Fail, and you shall remain as part of Zyphera forever. Adrian exchanged a glance with Lyra. That doesn't sound encouraging. The trial of strength. The chamber darkened as crystalline platforms rose from the floor, forming a circle around the spire. From the shadows emerged 3 massive constructs, each resembling a different predator of the planet. One shaped like the wolf-like beasts they had seen, another like the colossal scaled monster from the valley, and the last a towering humanoid guardian with jagged limbs. Adrian raised his blaster. Strength test, I'm guessing. Lyra shook her head. Not just strength. They're testing how we fight together. The first beast lunged, but Adrian was ready. He fired a series of precise blasts at its joints, slowing it down. Lyra, meanwhile, touched the crystals beneath her feet, channeling energy to create barriers that deflected the creature's strikes. The second monster advanced, shaking the ground. Adrian leapt forward, using his suit's thrusters to propel himself onto its back. He planted an explosive charge and leapt off just as it detonated, cracking the creature's crystal frame. Lyra directed energy from the chamber's walls, focusing it into a blast that shattered the weakened monster into fragments. The third guardian loomed, far stronger than the others. Adrian fired, but his shots only grazed its hardened body. Lyra closed her eyes, chanting softly as the crystals around her pulsed. Adrian realized what she was doing. You're weakening it, he said, covering her by drawing the guardian's attention. He fired at its glowing core, distracting it from striking Lyra. Finally, when the guardian raised its massive arm to crush Adrian, Lyra released her energy. The chamber itself pulsed and the guardian froze, collapsing into shards that melted back into the floor. The spire glowed brightly. Strength is proven. Unity is tested. Trust remains. Adrian wiped sweat from his brow. I hate riddles. The trial of trust. The chamber shifted. The floor beneath them split, creating 2 narrow paths leading to different exits. A deep chasm yawned between the paths, endless and dark. One must lead. One must follow blind. Only trust will bring survival. Lyra looked at Adrian, uncertainty in her eyes. It means one of us must walk without sight, depending on the other completely. Adrian nodded. Makes sense. So, who leads? Lyra hesitated. I trust you, Adrian. Humans are strong, in ways I can't be. Lead, and I will follow. Adrian placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Then close your eyes. No matter what happens, I'll guide you through. Lyra obeyed, shutting her eyes. Adrian took her hand and led her on to the narrow path. Every step was careful, precise. The chasm loomed beside them, the faint hum of energy echoing below. Step forward. Now left. Careful. There's a rise, Adrian instructed steadily. Lyra followed without hesitation, her grip tight but calm. Halfway across, the path trembled. Crystals shattered, falling into the abyss. Adrian steadied Lyra, pulling her close to keep her balanced. She didn't scream, didn't falter. She trusted him completely. Finally, they reached the other side. Lyra opened her eyes, relief washing over her face. You didn't let me fall, not even once. Adrian smiled faintly. I said I wouldn't. Humans keep their promises. The spire pulsed one last time. Strength, unity, trust. You have passed. Sci-Fi grants you safe passage. But beware. The true challenge lies beyond. The chamber wall shifted, revealing a hidden exit leading deeper into the planet. Lyra turned to Adrian, her eyes filled with gratitude. You saved me again. Not just with your weapon, but with your trust. Adrian shook his head. We saved each other. That's how humans survive. We don't do it alone. As they stepped into the newly revealed passage, Adrian felt the weight of the planet's words. The trials were only the beginning. Something greater, something darker, awaited them beyond. The hidden passage stretched downward in a spiral, its walls alive with glowing veins of crystal. Adrian led the way, his weapon ready, his visor scanning every shadow. Lyra walked close behind, her violet eyes reflecting the shifting light. They had passed the trials of the heart of Sci-Fi, but the voice's warning still echoed in their minds. The true challenge lies beyond. The silence between them was heavy. Only the soft hum of the crystals filled the air. Finally, Adrian broke the quiet. You feel it too, don't you? He asked. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes. Something waits for us below. Something dark. The planet allowed us through, but it fears what lies ahead. Adrian frowned. If a living world can fear, that doesn't bode well for us. They descended, deeper until the passage widened into a massive cavern. Unlike the glowing chambers above, this place was dark and cold. The crystals here were cracked, their light faint and sickly. The ground was uneven, littered with broken shards that crunched under their boots. Adrian knelt and examined the shards. These were destroyed, not naturally fractured. Something attacked this place. Lyra shivered. I feel emptiness, as if something drains the life from the planet here. Before Adrian could respond, a faint sound echoed from the shadows. A whisper, soft at first, then growing louder, like hundreds of voices speaking at once. He raised his blaster. Stay, behind me. From the darkness emerged a figure. At first it looked humanoid, cloaked in shifting shadows, but as it stepped closer, its form wavered, twisting between solid and energy. Its eyes glowed crimson, sharp and piercing. Lyra gasped. That's impossible. Adrian narrowed his eyes. You know what it is? It's a void wraith, Lyra whispered. My people believed they were myths, beings born from broken worlds, parasites that feed on life energy. The wraith's voice echoed in both their minds. Child of Lorelia, human of Earth. You are intruders. This world is mine to consume. Adrian tightened his grip on his weapon. Not if I have anything to say about it. The wraith's form expanded, tendrils of shadow stretching across the cavern. Crystals shattered wherever it touched, their light extinguished instantly. Lyra clutched Adrian's arm. It's feeding already. If it drains the heart, Sci-Fi will die. Adrian's jaw tightened. Then we stop it, together. Battle with the wraith. The wraith struck first, hurling a tendril of shadow toward them. Adrian shoved Lyra aside and rolled, firing a burst from his blaster. The energy bolts passed through the creature's form, dispersing its shadows but not destroying it. It doesn't take damage like normal, Adrian shouted. Lyra focused, placing her palms on the cracked crystals around them. These crystals still hold life energy. I can use them. She closed her eyes, drawing power from the fractured shards. Her body glowed faintly, and a beam, A violet light shot from her hands, striking the wraith. The creature recoiled, its form twisting violently. Adrian grinned. That worked. Keep it up. I'll cover you. The wraith shrieked, lunging at Lyra. Adrian fired relentlessly, forcing it back, even if only for moments at a time. Lyra continued channeling energy, her body trembling with the strain. Each blast of light weakened the wraith, but it was relentless. Reforming again and again, Adrian's visor flickered with warnings. It's drawing energy from the cavern itself. We can't just fight it. We need to cut off its source. Lyra nodded, sweat on her brow. There's a nexus deeper in the cavern. If we reach it, I can seal the wraith away. Adrian reloaded, his blaster determination hard in his eyes. Then let's move. The nexus. They sprinted through the cavern, the wraith pursuing them with unnatural speed. The ground shook as tendrils lashed at the walls, breaking more crystals and dimming the light. Adrian blasted at the shadows, clearing paths as they ran. Lyra guided him, sensing the direction of the nexus. Finally, they reached it. A massive pool of glowing liquid crystal at the cavern's center. It pulsed faintly, its light flickering like a dying flame. This is it, Lyra said breathlessly. The nexus, the heart beneath the heart. If I channel my energy through it, I can trap the wraith. Adrian glanced back at the approaching shadow. Sounds good, but it won't just stand by and let you. Lyra placed her hands on the glowing pool. Then hold it off, Adrian. Just for a little while. Adrian nodded without hesitation. I'll give you everything I've got. The wraith descended upon them, its form towering and monstrous now, eyes blazing like burning stars. Adrian stood his ground, unleashing a storm of fire from his blaster. Explosions lit the cavern as he targeted the wraith's core, forcing it to recoil again and again. Come on, Adrian shouted. You want to fight? You've got one. The wraith's tendrils lashed out, slamming into the ground around him. Adrian dodged, rolled, and fired, his suit's thrusters propelling him to higher ground when needed. He moved with precision and grit, every motion fueled by human determination. Meanwhile, Lyra closed her eyes and focused. Energy surged through her body as she drew from the nexus. The pool glowed brighter, responding to her will. But the strain was immense. Her body shook, and her voice trembled as she whispered chants in her language. The wraith sensed her effort and turned its full fury toward her. Adrian leapt between them, blasting its face with a charged shot. You're not touching her! He fired until his weapon overheated, then drew his combat blade. The blade crackled with energy as he slashed at the wraith's tendrils, cutting through their shadowy forms. It was reckless, desperate, but effective enough to buy Lyra more time. The seal Lyra's voice rose, her eyes glowing bright violet. The nexus blazed with light, sending ripples of energy across the cavern. The wraith shrieked, its form unraveling as the light struck it. Adrian staggered back, shielding his eyes from the brilliance. Lyra, it's working! The wraith thrashed, violently, trying to flee, but the nexus pulled at it like a vortex. Its tendrils shattered, its form dissolving into fragments of shadow. With one final scream, it was dragged into the glowing pool. Lyra collapsed to her knees, her energy nearly spent. The nexus dimmed but remained stable, its light soft and calm once more. The cavern was silent. Adrian rushed to her side, helping her to her feet. You did it, you sealed it. Lyra leaned against him, her breathing heavy. No, we did it. I couldn't have done it without you. Adrian gave a tired smile. That's the human way. We don't quit, and we don't let each other fall. Lyra's eyes softened. You're more than just a soldier, Adrian. You're a protector. For me, for your people, for everyone. Adrian looked into her glowing violet eyes. And you're stronger than you realize, Princess. Stronger than anyone gave you credit for. The aftermath as they left the cavern, the crystals around them began to glow brighter again. Their hum, stronger, healthier. The planet was healing. The darkness had been pushed back, at least for now. When they emerged into the open, the 3 moons of Zephira hung high in the sky, casting silver light across the crystal plains. Lyra paused, taking in the beauty. The planet, It thanks us, she whispered. I can feel it. It's alive again. Adrian adjusted his gear, scanning the horizon. Good. But we're not done. If there's one wraith here, there could be more. And if they're spreading to other worlds, he shook his head. This is bigger than either of us. Lyra turned to him, determination burning in her eyes. Then we face it together, human and Lorelia. Side by side. Adrian nodded, a faint smile on his lips. Together. But as they stood there beneath the moons, a faint shadow moved across the horizon, distant but unmistakable. The battle was not over. The true war was only beginning. The night on Zyphira was unlike any night Adrian had ever known. The 3 moons painted the land in silver, and the crystals across the plains glowed faintly, as if recovering from a deep wound. Yet despite the beauty, Adrian could not relax. His visor picked up faint disturbances across the horizon, shadows that moved against the wind. Lyra stood beside him, her long hair swaying in the cold breeze. Her violet eyes reflected the moons, but worry lingered in them. The wraith we sealed was not alone, she whispered. It was a scout, a fragment. More will come. Adrian nodded grimly. And if they're smart, they already know we're here. He looked at the horizon again. The shadow he had seen earlier was clearer now, a moving storm of darkness spreading wide. An army. The gathering storm. Adrian checked his weapon, making sure every power cell was charged. He could feel the weight of what was coming. We can't fight an army alone, we need allies. Lyra placed her hand on the glowing crystal beside them. The heart has healed. Through it I can send a call, not just to my people, but to every being who still resists the wraiths. Do it, Adrian said without hesitation. But be quick, they're closing in fast. Lyra closed her eyes, her body glowing with soft light. She began to hum, her voice harmonizing with the crystal song of the planet. The sound grew stronger, carried across the land like a wave. Adrian stood guard, watching as the storm of shadows spread closer. His jaw tightened. Come on, come on. Minutes later, a sharp cry echoed overhead. Adrian looked up and saw ships descending through the sky. Sleek, shining vessels unlike human crafts. Lurelians. Behind them came smaller ships of different designs, some patched and battered, but still flying. Refugees, survivors, fighters. Lyra opened her eyes, smiling faintly. They heard us, they came. Adrian smirked. Good, because we're going to need every hand we can get. The enemy arrives. The ground shook as the storm of shadows reached the plains. From the black mist emerged dozens, no hundreds of wraiths. Their forms shifted constantly, some towering like giants, others crawling like beasts. Crimson eyes burned in the darkness, and their whispers filled the air. The heart belongs to us. The world belongs to us. You cannot resist. Adrian raised his blaster, his voice steady. Funny. Humans have heard that before. We're still standing. The first wave of wraiths surged forward. Energy weapons from the arriving ships lit the sky, striking the shadows. Fighters on the ground joined in. Both Lurelians and other alien survivors forming a desperate line of defense. Adrian fought at the front, his blade sparking as he cut through tendrils of shadow. Beside him, Lyra summoned beams of violet light, her power striking down wraiths that came too close. The battle was chaos, shadows clashing with fire, light, and steel. For every wraith destroyed, more seemed to take its place. Adrian's choice. Amid the battle, Adrian noticed something. The wraiths weren't just attacking blindly. They were pushing toward the heart's entrance where the nexus lay hidden. They're after the nexus, Adrian shouted. If they corrupt it, the whole planet falls. Lyra's face paled. Then we must protect it at all costs. If the nexus is destroyed, the heart will collapse, and so will the allies who answered our call. Adrian thought quickly. They couldn't hold the line forever, not with sheer numbers. He turned to Lyra. Can you amplify the nexus? Make it powerful enough to burn them out all at once? Lyra hesitated. Yes, but it would take everything. I have. and it would take someone else to anchor the flow or the energy would tear me apart. Adrian's eyes hardened. Then I'll be your anchor. Lyra shook her head. No, Adrian. Your body isn't made for this kind of energy. It could kill you. Adrian tightened his grip on his weapon. I didn't come all this way to let these things win. If someone has to pay the price, let it be me. That's the human way. We fight so others can live. Lyra's voice trembled. Adrian. He placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and strong. Trust me. Into the Nexus. The two of them broke from the battle, racing back into the Heart's cavern. Behind them, allies fought desperately to hold back the swarm. The sounds of battle echoed down the glowing halls. At the Nexus chamber, Lyra placed her hands on the pool of crystal once again. Its glow brightened, answering her call. Once we begin, there is no turning back, she warned. Adrian stepped forward, placing his hand beside hers. The energy surged into him immediately, burning like fire in his veins. He gritted his teeth, but didn't pull away. Let's finish this. Lyra began the chant, her voice harmonizing with the Nexus. Light poured from the pool, flooding the cavern. Adrian held on, forcing his body to endure the torrent of energy. His suit cracked, alarms blaring, but he stood firm. Above, the entire battlefield shook as beams of light erupted from the ground, striking the wraiths. The shadows screamed, their forms unraveling. The tide turned. The swarm was being burned. Away by the planet itself, the breaking point, but the wraiths were not finished. From the storm emerged one massive figure, larger than all the rest. A wraith lord. Its body was a towering mass of shifting darkness, its eyes blazing like suns. It roared, lashing at the Nexus chamber with tendrils that shook the earth. The entire cavern trembled. Adrian staggered but pressed harder against the pool, channeling more of the energy. Lyra, focus, don't stop, he shouted. Lyra's tears shimmered in the glow, but her voice only grew stronger. Together, their power surged through the Nexus like a flood. The Wraith Lord screamed, its body disintegrating under the blinding light. One by one, the other wraiths fell with it, their shadows dissolving into nothing. The storm was broken. The price. When the last wraith vanished, silence fell across the battlefield. The moons shone brighter, and the crystals across Sci-Fi pulsed with renewed life. The world was safe. But inside the cavern, Adrian collapsed to his knees, his body trembling violently. The energy had taken its toll. His armor was scorched, his face pale. Lyra dropped beside him, cradling his shoulders. Adrian, stay with me. He forced a weak smile. Looks like humans really are stubborn, huh? Don't say that, Lyra pleaded, her voice breaking. You are not allowed to leave me now, not after all this. Adrian's hand found hers, gripping weakly. You're strong enough to carry this world now. Stronger than you ever knew. Lyra's tears fell onto his armor, glowing softly as they touched the crystal dust on him. And you gave me that strength. You showed me what it means to fight for others. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Then slowly, Adrian's breathing steadied. The energy glow around him faded, leaving only exhaustion instead of death. Lyra gasped, relief flooding her face. You're alive. Adrian managed a faint grin. Told you. Stubborn. The dawn. When they emerged from the cavern, the survivors greeted them with cheers. Ships hovered above, shining their lights in salute. The plains of Sci-Fi glowed with fresh brilliance, the planet alive again. One of the Lyrillian commanders approached, bowing deeply to Lyra. Princess, you have done what no one else could. You saved not only this world, but all who still resist. The darkness. Lyra shook her head, her gaze falling on Adrian. Not alone. Humanity stood with me, and together, we won. The commander turned to Adrian, awe in his eyes. Then humanity has proven itself a force to be respected. We will remember this day. Adrian only shrugged tiredly. Just doing what we do best. Epilogue that night, under the 3 moons. Adrian and Lyra stood apart from the crowd. The air was calm, the crystals humming softly. Lyra looked at him, her eyes filled with quiet warmth. The wraiths will come again. Perhaps not here, but somewhere. This was only the beginning. Adrian nodded. Then we'll be ready. Earth, Luralia, all of us together. Humanity doesn't back down, and neither do you. Lyra smiled faintly. Together, then. They stood side by side, gazing at the glowing horizon. For the first time in ages, hope burned brighter than fear, and across the galaxy, whispers began to spread of a battle where a human and an alien princess stood together against the darkness, and won. The story of Earth and Luralia had only just begun.